Hello there, I'm Steve Arcade, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of How It Started, How Gamers Became Gamers. This podcast is all about taking a trip down memory lane with everyday gamers, learning the who, what, when, where, and how behind their love for gaming. Along the way, we'll discuss different gaming-related topics and thoughts on all things gaming. On this episode, we have a special guest. Ben's brother Mike joins us to talk Game Boy, Commodore 64, Atari, Nintendo 64, playing Quake on school computers back in the day, Serious Sam, Mass Effect, Supreme Commander, controller versus keyboard and mouse, why he didn't dig Bioshock, Dead Space, VR, and more. We hope you enjoy the show. Okay, welcome to yet another episode of How It Started. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Ben. We have a special guest today, Ben's brother, Mike. Mike, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Yeah.
I love that you're going to ask this question because you already know the answer to it. So I'll ask.
I like how I mess up on
I'm
this
going to ask the question because you're already
Fine.
too nervous to talk to your own brother. My goodness. Mike, what level are you?
I'm on my third round, but I'm 37.
37. Okay, closer to my age. Nice. All right,
Yep.
cool. We might have a few things in common. Mike, tell me how you got started in video games. Who brought you that first exposure into gaming, or what, or how did that happen?
I wouldn't say it was any specific person.
Okay.
As you might know, I grew up with kind of a strict background with parents that were against video games and electronics and all that fun stuff. So my exposure was going to friends' houses. Actually, my grandparents, I remember always wanting to get in on their original Nintendo with the Duck Hunt and the Mario, Super Mario. So I would always try and play that as much as I could. And so eventually I was able to weasel my way and get my hands on a Game Boy that my parents got me. The brick Game Boy, not color,
Right.
with Mario on it. And definitely remember, my parents were like, okay, you only have 1 hour to play this game. So of course, those things had no way of saving or anything like that when you turn it off.
Right,
so
yeah.
I had to try and beat the whole thing in 1 hour. But
The OG speedrunner right here.
the level where it was like an airplane level where I had to beat Wario, and it was like impossible to beat. Like I would try and beat him, and then I'd be like, okay, time to turn it off. I'm like, no.
I'm right there.
I believe I spent many hours in the van on trips between here and Detroit, Michigan to visit my grandparents playing that very game on my Game Boy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. What other games did you play on the Game Boy?
Not a lot. It was just mostly Mario and Kirby.
Okay, Kirby's
yeah, okay.
Adventure. Yeah, that was the big introduction of Kirby, I think, into pop culture here in America. I think he was somewhat already existed in Japan before that.
Of course, yeah.
But, as with most good Nintendo things, they tend to exist there before they come here.
Right.
So after Game Boy, then where did that lead?
I don't know if I remember specific orders. I know at one point I had a Commodore 64. And
Oh, yeah. Okay. All
had
right.
5 1/4-inch floppy disks where
Yes.
Pitfall.
Yes.
And trying to remember other games. It might have been Snake or Asteroids or something. I don't know.
Did you just, now with the Commodore 64, did you just use it as a gaming thing, or did your parents try to make it like into a productivity machine? Because I actually wrote papers on mine.
Yeah, I don't think I wrote papers on it. I mean, this was like maybe middle school, closer to high school, just before I really got into like real computers.
Yeah.
Before the Gateway Pentium 25 megahertz, 8 megs of RAM, 80 meg hard drive, trying to stuff Windows 95 on it.
Yes.
But yeah, it was mostly games. I think I even had like a little joystick control with it, if I remember correctly. It was obviously bought at like a yard sale or something. It wasn't like, we bought it brand new, and because I also had a hand-me-down Apple II, the tiny little 13-inch black and green screen from there.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
that I did a little bit of like those, floppy disks. They just booted off a floppy disk, and
Yeah.
I know I might have played some, basic games on there. I think he even programmed a game where it's like I feel like it was like a turtle or something that I don't know. I forget what it was, but
See, when you start talking Commodore 64, you're talking my language, because when I was a kid, we got a brand new Commodore 64.
okay.
And we had the keyboard, which was the computer. I mean, that thing weighed like fucking 50 pounds. And you had the 5 1/4 inch floppy drive. We had the Commodore 1570 dot matrix printer for that bitch. And we hooked it up to a 13, or no, I had a 19-inch tube television that it connected to. And for a long time, it was in my room because I used it more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And my favorite game was a game called Wasteland. Did you ever get your hands on that?
I have not.
Old RPG. Probably not anything your parents would have allowed.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's actually the spiritual father to the Fallout series. So it's set out in the desert in the West after nuclear war has already happened, and what's left of society is trying to pick up the remains, and you are a core of the desert rangers out there to deal with all the crazy shit that's happening. Excellent game. And actually you can get it on PC now, the original, plus they did a second one and a third one that are a top down, much more, graphically modern, that came out in 2015 and then again last year. What other games? Pitfall? Do you remember any other games that you had?
As far as Commodore 64, that's the only thing I remember. Didn't have it for very long. We at one point had an Atari, so we like to play Breakout on that. And
I loved Breakout. It's so simple, but it's so much fun.
Yes. And then somehow I managed to get a Game Gear for Christmas, and that was to Sonic the Hedgehog. Played the heck out of that. And then I'm just gonna ramble on a little. With Nintendo 64, I played Mario 64.
Sure.
And I beat that like 5 times, got all 121 stars. I played it on the
because there's secret stars. I think it was like what, 120 that it said that you're supposed to get, and then there was an extra secret one that you could unlock.
Yeah, the one extra star. So
yeah,
but I beat it twice on the console and 3 times on an emulator. So
wow.
Yeah.
And each time collected all the stars each time?
Yep. Each time.
Jeez, that's some dedication. I think we had a guy on was it a couple weeks ago that was talking about how he was going to have to pull back up Mario 64 and go clean all the stars out.
Right, yeah. You got to tell him about that secret one.
About that. I think he knows.
Okay.
I think that was Ruckus. I want to say that was probably Ruckus.
Yeah.
Pure Ruckus. So, of all the games that you've played, and it sounds like there's been a lot of them growing up, what's the game that you would say made you fall in love with gaming overall? Like, what's that game that just sticks out more than any?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story because I started to segue into PC gaming after the console stuff.
Sure.
And I played Star Wars Dark Forces, the DOS game with the classic joystick, Windows 98, and so I enjoyed that's kind of what got me into like shooting games per se. So in high school we did Quake, Unreal Tournament, and I got a funny story about Quake because we had a brilliant programmer in our classroom, and he made it so that we could play Quake in the computer lab. And
at the school.
At the school, in a small window, we would all be able to play. And he programmed it so that we have a watch person that would, if a teacher would roll by, he would hit an F function key, and it would pause our game and minimize it into the tray, like it would look like a Windows update icon or something.
Nice.
It was cleared, and you hit F9, and then we'd all pick up and play again. So that was fun. So I
That's
really
good.
got to Unreal Tournament. We did a lot of LAN parties with that, and that's when I first started playing Serious Sam, which is one of my first love games. I guess I played the heck out of it. I hosted my own server. It was the only game that I played. Like all the difficulty levels, including mental, which if you don't know what that is, so it's basically waves of enemies that come at you and you walk through it. And but mental mode is when the enemies actually will disappear and reappear, as they attack you. So yes, I did beat that without cheating. Lots of quick saves, not cheating.
Right, and you only have one life too, right? So
yeah. So, but the other aspect I enjoyed about it was reading up all of the facts on Egypt and the history. I definitely really enjoyed that aspect of it. So that's like, my first love is person shooter. And then it was actually hard for me to get into Knights of the Republic because it's much slower pace. It's more storyline. It's like, oh, I just want to go and shoot things, not sit back and watch a cinematic or, but then after like the fourth or fifth try, I really got into it. And I'm going somewhere with this. I really got into it, and I love the Knights of the Republic series, the original, not the online game.
right, Knights of the Republic and Knights of the Republic 2.
Sure. So that led me into liking Mass Effect because Mass Effect plays in a similar game style.
It's another RPG.
Yeah. So then Mass Effect just really grew on me, and that's like, in answer to your question, my biggest favorite game of all time and sci-fi series of all time. I definitely have a lot of Mass Effect stuff. So, and 7.
Okay, sure.
I got some.
So, were you as disappointed in Andromeda as most people seemed to be?
Well, here's the thing. It's like it was a spinoff, but you couldn't expect it to be the same as the original 3. Like, it was a different storyline, and I wouldn't say I was disappointed.
How did you feel about it?
I think it could have been better. I mean, it was quite obviously rushed. But I did enjoy the storyline, and especially now that I'm playing it a second time through. I played it through the first time through when it first came out, and then after that, I didn't feel like replaying it until now. So, but now that I'm replaying it, I'm more enjoying it for Andromeda as it is. Like Mass Effect, the original Mass Effect, was great on its own. Because I always love, especially the first one, because I always love stories where it's like a mystery.
There's a lot of unknown.
Like what's going on? It's kind of like the movie Independence Day, like the first one. Like what's going on? What's all these shadows and ships and clouds and but then the second one is like, okay, you could just enjoy the action because you already know everything. But yeah, and Andromeda is kind of mystery like that too. So I did enjoy that, but I just like the original Mass Effect storyline better.
So Andromeda was a prequel, was it not? Is that basically help me out here, guys, because I don't know shit about Andromeda.
Andromeda takes place.
Andromeda is supposed to take place in the middle of Mass Effect 2, is when it starts.
Yeah,
but
years to travel to Andromeda. So basically, they just left the Milky Way during Mass Effect 2. So that was the branch off of that, and then basically it's now 600 years later in Andromeda. So okay. The Reapers and all of that, that's all done. They're in their next cycle or whatever, story ending.
They have no idea what happened to the Milky Way. They just knew that there was a threat or something, so they decided to create these arcs and then leave for another galaxy, and took them 600 years to get there.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Okay. Like the Alien movie series. Okay. Fair enough. So you and Ben kind of grew up playing games together. What would you say is a game that you guys enjoyed playing together the most?
Probably growing up, I think it would probably be Serious Sam, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's when I first really introduced you to gaming. You're like, "Ooh, what's that?" You know.
You mean I
This is
can blow
cool.
guys' arms and legs off in single shots? This is amazing. That's how
This
I
is
felt about
great.
Serious Sam.
Thanks.
So Serious Sam, were there any other games that you guys played together a lot?
Yeah, I don't know if that we really played a lot together. I mean, we did Call of Duty a lot together.
At one point, yes.
And I'm talking like Modern Warfare.
Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2. And then
Boy, that's confusing.
Yeah, I know. And then Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, because I basically stopped after 3. So
Yeah, after 3 is when the frustration took over and we just stopped buying it.
You mean like the frustration that you have currently?
Yeah.
Totally and completely understand.
What
What do you play right now?
What's that?
What are you playing currently these days, other than Andromeda?
Like I said, I'm replaying Andromeda.
Right.
I love the Tomb Raider series, the 2013 Tomb Raider series.
Sure.
Yeah, because I just bought a new panel, so of course you want to try all the different games on a new
monitor.
ultra wide screen. So
Oh yeah.
I do play Star Trek Online sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, some
Take a
games
while to get him into that.
I only play with Ben or other people online, or LAN parties like Supreme Commander. Like I only play that when there's a couple of us playing. Otherwise, I usually don't play those kind of games.
Sure.
See, Supreme Commander was kind of interesting though, because back in the day, he saw me playing it with a friend of mine, and he's like, "That's way too complicated." For those who don't know, Supreme Commander is a real time
Top-down RTS.
Yeah, top-down real-time strategy game. The scale of it, you could have up to 1,000 units on screen. So it was pretty complicated. There were a couple different factions that had all their different things in it and whatnot. And for the longest time, he just kept on saying, "That's way too complicated." Then one day, finally got him to sit down and play it. And then that was like the only thing we played together as a group for like the next year or two.
I mean, in his defense, it is pretty complicated. The game is strange. I tried it. I own it. And I'm a StarCraft kid and a Warcraft kid. And, so I understand RTSs, but that brings a whole new level to it. Like all the trees behind it that are even like they're more branched out and strange to me than StarCraft is. And StarCraft 2 got pretty wild and out there for a little while.
Yeah. And sometimes, like,
you ever play StarCraft?
I did not.
Okay.
Say though. Yeah, sometimes like I use my brain a lot for work. I'm a programmer. So when I'm done with work, I don't feel like trying to figure something else out. I just want to, give me a gun and go, or a racing car or something. Like
a racing car.
If I'm not getting paid to think, I don't want to think.
Right. Yeah.
I'm with you on that, man.
And the same with movies, because some people are like very into like, "Oh, why do you watch that movie? It's so dumb," or whatever. I'm like, I just like the action. It's entertaining.
Oh, he's a movie guy. Are you
Yeah.
superhero movies?
Oh yeah.
Superhero movies?
Huh?
Are you a superhero movie guy?
Absolutely. Marvel.
Okay, so are you excited for what it'll already have been released when this comes out, but for tomorrow's Snyder cut of the Justice League? Are you into that at all? I know this isn't.
Have you heard about it?
But I haven't really been on top of the new releases or anything.
Oh no. Okay, so you know about the Justice League that came out in 2017 and everybody hated it, right?
Yes.
Well, to make a long story short, that was not Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack Snyder's Justice League was a completely different movie.
Yes.
About 75% of what you saw in that 2-hour film was completely redone and reshot by Joss Whedon. We lost him.
Yep.
That's never happened to me before, so I don't know why that's doing that.
That's
All
okay.
of a
It's
sudden.
not a big deal. So
Sorry.
yeah, it's been completely redone. So there was a big campaign by fans like me, weirdos like me, who wanted the Snyder cut. So it's coming. It releases tomorrow. It's 4 hours long.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it is a
I'll watch it,
completely
for
different film. It has dark side, Desaad, like it's 75% rated on Rotten Tomatoes.
right.
So they say this is the greatest DC movie of all times. That's what the critics are saying.
And DC, yeah. I mean, as far as DC, I love the Dark Knight series. I actually like Wonder Woman, the first one.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Okay, but still better than most of all of the other ones. And the Michael Keaton Batman, I like those.
So we'll segue back to comic book or back to gaming and with comic books. Did you play any of the Batman Arkham series? Ben hates it. What do you think of it?
I played for a little bit,
Mhm.
tried to get into it. And I think after a while, I just kind of lost interest.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe just the game style, not
Were
necessarily
you playing on mouse and keyboard or with a controller?
mouse and keyboard.
I would recommend playing with a controller. If you still own it like digitally or something and you're just bored and you want something to retry, play with a controller. It's a game that was made for console.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel right with a mouse and keyboard. It really feels much more intuitive with
That's
like
almost how I feel about
one of
racing.
these in your hands. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, because when you're using a keyboard for racing, like it's either pedal to the metal or no. You need,
Yep.
you know, I'm like constantly losing these races. I'm like, okay, well, it's because I'm just doing pedal to the metal, trying to go over flooded roads and stuff. You know,
Right.
like,
Yep. I agree with you 100%. We play GTA from time to time, and I play with the controller because it feels that game feels more intuitive to me. But I'll switch back and forth. If we're like in a gunfight, I'll throw it into first person mode and hop on the mouse and keyboard because I feel a lot better on the shooting,
Right.
shootout. But if we're doing anything else like running around or whatever, or
Driving
if
or
we're hopping in a
flying.
car, or driving or flying or piloting a boat, I'm on the controller for that.
Yeah.
It's just
I've actually wanted to get the steering wheel set, but I just haven't been able to justify.
I have one. I can tell you that the Logitech G Series is a very nice wheel. It is very nice.
That's what I have in my wish list. I'm a Logitech fan for sure. Yeah.
If you play a lot of driving and racing sim type games, if you have one that you like to spend a lot of time on, in my opinion, it's worth it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I only get in the mood for racing every now and then.
Sure. Yeah, I play American Truck Simulator and European Truck Simulator. It ain't even about racing for me. It's about driving big rigs.
Yeah.
What do you think one of the worst games that you ever played was, or one of the games that you were most disappointed in would be? You got it.
Or maybe a game that like hyped you up and you were ready for it, and then you were like, "Ugh, I can't believe I just got fooled."
Yeah, I don't know. I might even say Bioshock because I hear a lot of people saying they really like the game, and and I got the game cheap,
right,
like we all did.
And then I tried.
Thanks, Steam.
Sometimes it takes me a while.
Thanks, Humble Bundle.
But then, I don't know. Bioshock just doesn't do it for me. Same with like Far Cry. I think it was.
Yeah.
Because I love Crisis. Crisis is amazing. I love the first Crisis a lot. But I think Far Cry was similar. Is it Far Cry or Fallout?
Well, the first Far Cry was made by the same Crytek, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the second one wasn't, though.
Yeah, every Far Cry after that has been a Ubisoft production.
Crytek, so I thought, oh, maybe it was, would be similar, but it just wasn't. So
right.
Yeah, and I'm kind of picky when it comes to getting games, like, and it's funny, especially even Tomb Raider, like, the classic Tomb Raiders, like I never finished one, like ever. Like I started to play and then it would get stuck in a room, and then I would actually feel nauseous just from going around back and forth trying to figure out how to get out. That I just stopped. But the 2013s were great. It just had a lot more storyline to it, and it just had a lot more heart to it. So yeah, I guess you can kind of tell that I definitely enjoy, shooting and stuff like that, but I also enjoy games that have good storylines and
Bioshock is weird. I have Bioshock. Did you play the remastered ones that they gave everybody for free if they owned the originals? Did you ever
Yeah.
try those? Because those were the ones I tried. I never got into the original, and I agree with you. I never felt drawn in. I know it's a classic series. I know it has a huge fan base. And so
Yeah.
I almost feel bad saying this, but this show is not about feeling bad about having an opinion. This show is about everybody having their opinion. And I just never felt pulled in. I never did.
Right, yeah.
I felt that same way about Anthem, and I think that was the thing that killed Anthem for me. Before I even reached to the end of the story, I was just like, I don't fucking care, dude. What do I care? Like, all
What am
I
I
care
doing
about,
here?
put me in my set of armor and let me go be Iron Man Simulator for a while, because I don't fucking care about the rest of it. Like, I don't care. This stupid little story with the jealous little guy and the how did you feel the same way about Anthem?
Pretty similar. I mean, yeah, it was one of those where I enjoyed it at the time, but it was like fun for 5 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now I'm done. We're just doing the same thing over and over again, and yeah, unfortunately, it was a disappointment. So,
and I would agree with you about the Far Cry series. I think my biggest problem with the Ubisoft games, and I think this is still an issue for them, although I haven't played any more of the recent ones, but maybe you noticed this. Ubisoft games seem to all have the same general mechanics. Like, oh, you want to reveal part of the map? Climb to the top of this tower.
All right. Yeah.
That's in Far Cry. That's in fucking Assassin's Creed. That's in every game that they put out. It's the same thing.
So in a previous episode, we had a guy who was really crazy about Dead Space. And I know that you've played Dead Space, and it's a series that you really appreciated. Another one of those ones where you really appreciated the first one because of the mystery involved. He was talking about if, how if they would come out with a Dead Space 4, what would you think about a Dead Space 4? What's your thoughts on that?
Do you think there should be a Dead Space 4?
I think there should be one.
Probably not.
Were you disappointed in 3?
I mean, and I feel like this is the same way about a lot of trilogies or things that have sequels.
Yes.
Most of the mystery is in the first one. And by the time you reach the second and third, that mystery is gone. And now it's just, let's just go out and do it.
Now the heroes are powered up and they're
so you
prepared
go
and they're ready to kick ass.
Yeah. So, I mean, I enjoyed 3. I liked, the mods and the weapons and stuff.
Right, the weapon crafting system.
That's probably the thing I liked most about it. And also that you could do it co-op, because Ben and I have played that several times as co-op.
Oh yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
And it was kind of neat to play as 2 different characters, because not only was it just co-op, but it gave you 2 different perspectives in the storyline. So I liked that about it too. So, I mean, maybe if they did something more along those lines where they gave it more story meat, I guess. Otherwise it's just going to be another, scare tactic.
So you don't want a Dead Space Battle Royale?
There you go.
Right?
No, I don't think so.
some asshole at EA is feverishly taking notes right now, watching the
Right.
Dead Space Battle Royale. Fucking genius. Let's do it.
Do it.
And if they can make some fast money, I'll do it.
There you go.
Now this guy I got it straight up. This is a playback flack that I believe you're talking about. He's straight up standing for the Dead Space series, though.
Okay.
He's streaming it. I think he's starting over with Dead Space 1, and he's gonna, or at least he was gonna stream the whole thing. Now he hasn't been back live for a while, but hopefully he gets back to doing it. But yeah, he's
if they do a remaster of it, I would play it. I mean, and Dead Space is probably one of those games where I probably would buy it. Maybe not pre-order, but buy it and play it, even if it sucks. Kind of like the same with Crysis. If they made a Crysis 4, just some of those games that. Or Serious Sam 5, Serious Sam 4 would, I really liked that game. But it was fun. So.
Did you get a chance to try Serious Sam VR?
Yes, I have.
Did you like it?
it was interesting. It was kind of neat because it was like, holy crap, this is what he sees when the kamikazes are coming at you in all directions.
You have a VR headset?
I don't. It was off a friend. The thing is, I would get sick. So like, it's fun for like maybe a half hour or so, but then it's like, okay.
Yeah, I've got an HTC Vive and I love it, but after about an hour, the weight of it on my face starts to give me a headache.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand it after about an hour, and I love the thing, but it just, man.
Yeah, it was just the same. Like I had the NVIDIA Vision 3, whatever the 3D thing that I had when I played the first Tomb Raider with it. It was pretty amazing. Like you could, like look down and see, like it looked like you were looking down off a cliff or whatever. But it just, after a while, I just went back to normal, 2D, 3D, if you will.
Yeah,
just too much hassle.
Like, yeah, it's fun, but then it's like, okay.
It's a novelty thing. It's like a carnival game. You're like, okay, I did this twice. I'm good now.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I had that experience. Yeah, mine's in a drawer. I'm almost tempted to sell it, but I love it. And I did spend a shitload of money on it. So with that being said, we are coming to the end of our time. We are running out of time. We do revisits, but we don't do trilogies because we've just heard how bad trilogies are.
We'll skip the third and go to the fourth.
So
right?
we will probably bring you back for a second one at some point in the far future, after we've written a good sequel story. No, but thank you, Mike. We appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us today. And we hope you enjoyed the experience, and we hope to have you again sometime. Ben, thanks for being here. It's not like you have a choice. You're here. You're Ben.
I'm here. It's me. I'm Ben.
Everybody, appreciate you joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of How It Started. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us. You can find links to our podcast episodes, social media, and more by going to howitstartedpod.com or by searching for How It Started, How Gamers Became Gamers on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We release new episodes every Friday. You can find Ben on Twitch at twitch.tv/ZivionV3 and on Instagram @Zivion. You can find Steve on Twitch at twitch.tv/SecretLayerArcade or secretlayerarcade.com and on Instagram @SecretLayerArcade. Until next time, I'm Steve Arcade. For myself and my co-host Ben, thanks for joining us, and be sure to live your best one up.